Commander Jake Martinez stared at the view screen as his ship, the UES Horizon, moved through the dark space between stars. They had been traveling for 3 months now, farther from Earth than any human had ever gone before. The stars looked different out here, and Jake felt the weight of being the first human to see them. "Commander, we're getting something on the long-range sensors," called out Lieutenant Tom Bradley from his station. "It looks like a structure of some kind." Jake walked over to look at the readings. The object was huge, bigger than any space Station Earth had ever built. It was made of some kind of metal that gleamed silver in the starlight. "Dr. Chang, what do you make of this?" Jake asked. Dr. Lisa Chang, the ship's expert on alien life, studied the data on her screen. She was a small woman with sharp eyes, who never missed a detail. "It's definitely not natural, Commander. The design is too perfect, too organized. This was built by someone." Jake felt his heart beat faster. This could be it. The first proof that humans were not alone in the universe. Earth had been sending radio signals into space for over 100 years, but they had only received automated messages back. The messages always said the same thing: remain in your area. You are being watched. Do not leave your solar system until told. But humans had never been good at following orders, especially when they didn't understand why. "Take us closer, but keep our distance," Jake ordered. "I want to know what we're dealing with before we announce ourselves." As the horizon moved closer, the alien structure became clearer. It was shaped like a giant ring, slowly spinning in space. Lights blinked along its surface in patterns that seemed to have meaning. "Commander, I'm picking up energy readings," reported Chief Engineer Carl Stevens. "Whatever this thing is, it's powered by something I've never seen before. The energy output is incredible." Dr. Chang was studying her instruments with growing excitement. "I'm detecting multiple life signs inside the structure. Different types of life signs. This isn't just one species. There are many different kinds of aliens in there." Before Jake could respond, their communications officer spoke up. "Sir, we're being scanned. Something is looking at us very carefully." Jake straightened in his chair. This was the moment they had prepared for. "Open a channel. Let's introduce ourselves." The response came faster than expected. A voice spoke in perfect English, though it sounded strange, like it was coming from a machine. "Unknown vessel. Identify yourself and state your origin." Jake took a deep breath. "This is Commander Jake Martinez of the United Earthship Horizon. We come from the planet Earth in the Sol system. We seek peaceful contact with other intelligent species." There was a long pause. Then the voice came back, and it sounded confused. "Earth? Sol system? Please wait while we search our records." The wait felt like hours, though it was only minutes. Finally, the voice returned, and now it sounded very surprised. "This is impossible. According to our records, your species was classified as pre-intelligent tool users. You should not have space travel capability." Dr. Chang looked at Jake with wide eyes. "Pre-intelligent? How old are their records?" Jake keyed the communication system again. "I think there might be some mistake. Humans have had space travel for over 400 years. We've been sending signals into space for much longer than that." "Negative," the alien voice replied. "Our survey of your world was completed 50,000 of your years ago. Your species showed no signs of developing beyond basic stone tools. The probability of your species achieving spaceflight was calculated at less than 1%. The bridge went quiet. 50,000 years ago, humans were still learning to make fire and hunt with simple spears. But the aliens had looked at early humans and decided they would never amount to anything. Request permission to come aboard your station," Jake said. "I think we need to talk." There was another long pause. When the voice came back, it sounded nervous. "Permission granted, but you will be escorted at all times. This situation requires investigation. As the Horizon docked with the alien station, Jake felt the weight of history on his shoulders. Not only were humans making first contact with aliens, but they were proving that the aliens had been completely wrong about them. The airlock opened, and Jake got his first look at an alien being. It was tall and thin, with blue skin and 4 arms. Its eyes were large and black, and it moved with careful, precise movements. "I am Survey Captain Kilren," the alien said in that same mechanical voice. "I must inform you that your presence here creates a significant problem for the Galactic Confederation." "What kind of problem?" Jake asked. "Your species should not exist in its current form. Our science says it is impossible. When species are classified as having low development probability, they do not suddenly appear with advanced technology. It does not happen." Dr. Chong stepped forward. "Maybe your science is wrong. Maybe you don't understand how humans develop." The alien's large eyes focused on her. "Our classification system has been accurate for millions of years. We have surveyed thousands of worlds and species. We do not make mistakes." "Well, you made one with us," Jake said simply. Survey Captain Kilran seemed to struggle with this idea. "If our classification system is wrong about your species, then our understanding of evolution and development is wrong. This would mean we need to review every species we have ever classified." "Maybe that's not such a bad thing," Dr. Chong suggested. The alien looked at them both for a long moment. "You do not understand. The Confederation Council will not accept that our system is wrong. They will assume you are a threat or an anomaly that needs to be contained." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "What does that mean?" "It means, Survey," Captain Kilran said quietly, "that they will likely decide to destroy your world rather than admit they made an error." As the words sank in, Jake realized that humanity's greatest moment, making contact with alien life, might also be their last. The aliens had overlooked humans by design, classifying them as failures before they even had a chance to prove themselves. Now that humans had proven the aliens wrong, the aliens might decide it was easier to eliminate the evidence than admit their mistake. The universe was much more dangerous than humans had ever imagined, and their survival would depend on proving that being overlooked was the biggest mistake the aliens had ever made. Survey Captain Kilren stood in the command center of her research vessel, the Eternal Observer, as it approached the 3rd planet of the Sol system. Her 4 arms moved across different control panels while she studied the data coming in from her sensors. What she saw made no sense. "Navigator Hicksdahl, confirm our location," she ordered. The short, furry alien at the navigation station checked his instruments twice. "We are in the correct system, Captain. This is the world cataloged as Earth, inhabited by pre-sentient tool users." Kilren stared at the planet below. Instead of the simple villages and basic farming they expected to find, her sensors showed massive cities covering entire continents. Strange metal objects moved in orbit around the planet, and energy signatures indicated advanced technology everywhere. "This cannot be correct," she muttered. "Run a full sensor sweep. Check for errors in our equipment." Her science officer, a tall being made of living crystal named Vexenol, manipulated his instruments with precise movements. "All systems are functioning normally, Captain. The readings are accurate. The inhabitants of this world have built what appears to be a Type 7 civilization." Kilren felt something she had never experienced before: confusion. In her 300 years of surveying primitive worlds, she had never seen anything like this. Species classified as pre-sentient did not build cities that could be seen from space. "Sir," called her communications officer, "we are being contacted by the planet's surface. They are using advanced quantum communication methods." "That is impossible," Kilran said flatly. "Patch the communication through." A human voice came through the speakers, speaking in perfect galactic standard language. Unknown vessel, this is Earth Defense Command. You have entered restricted space. Identify yourself and state your intentions. Kilrin exchanged looks with her crew. Earth had a defense command. They spoke galactic standard. They had detected her ship, even though it was cloaked. This is Survey Captain Kilrin of the Galactic Confederation, she replied carefully. We are here to conduct a routine verification of species development on your world. There was a pause. Then the human voice came back. Please stand by for escort to Earth Orbital Station Alpha 7. Do not deviate from the flight path we transmit to you. Before Kilrin could respond, her navigation systems received detailed coordinates and flight instructions. The humans were not asking for permission. They were giving orders to a galactic Confederation survey vessel. Captain, whispered Navigator Hickstall, their orbital stations are armed. I count over 50 weapons platforms surrounding us. Kilrin felt her confidence shake. Presentient species did not build orbital weapon platforms. 2 hours later, Kilrin found herself in a meeting room aboard the human space station. Across from her sat 3 humans who introduced themselves as Lieutenant Colonel Steve Roberts, Dr. Amy Watson, and Ambassador Kate Stevens. The room itself was impressive, clean, well-designed, and filled with technology that looked almost as advanced as Confederation equipment. Lieutenant Colonel Roberts was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes. He spoke first. Captain Kilrin, we understand you're here because of some confusion about our species classification. There is no confusion, Kilrin replied, though her voice was not as certain as she wanted it to be. Your species was properly surveyed and classified 50,000 years ago. The classification is final. Dr. Watson, a woman with dark hair and intelligent eyes, leaned forward. With respect, Captain, your survey was wrong. Humans have been developing continuously for the past 50,000 years. We've had written language for 8,000 years, advanced mathematics for 3,000 years, and spaceflight for over 400 years. Kilrin's forearms moved nervously. That rate of development is impossible. No species develops that quickly. Maybe no species you've met before, Ambassador Stevens said with a smile. She was older than the others, with silver hair and a confident manner. But humans are different. How are you different? Kilrin asked, though she was not sure she wanted to hear the answer. Dr. Watson activated a holographic display that showed human development over time. Other species in your confederation seem to specialize. They develop one type of intelligence very well, mathematics or engineering or combat. Humans developed general intelligence. We can adapt to any problem, any situation, any challenge. The hologram showed human cities growing, technology advancing, and humans spreading across their world and then into space. The speed of change was incredible. When your probe visited Earth 50,000 years ago, Dr. Watson continued, it saw humans using stone tools and assumed that was all we would ever be capable of. But humans don't stay the same. We change, we adapt, we grow. Kilran studied the display. The rate of human development was unlike anything in Confederation records. This suggests our entire understanding of species development is incorrect. Maybe. It is, Lieutenant Colonel Roberts said. Or maybe you just never met a species like humans before. That cannot be, Kilran insisted. We have surveyed millions of worlds. We have met thousands of species. Our classification system is perfect. Ambassador. Stevens leaned back in her chair. Captain, let me ask you something. How many species in your confederation developed spaceflight in less than 1,000 years after discovering mathematics? Kilrin thought about it. None. The fastest development time on record is 7,000 years. And how many species went from basic tools to advanced technology in 50,000 years? None, Kilren admitted quietly. Then maybe, Ambassador Stevens said gently, your system isn't as perfect as you think. The meeting continued for hours. The humans showed Kilren examples of their technology, their art, their science. They explained how humans learned by watching, by trying, by failing, and trying again. They showed her how human children could learn complex ideas in days that took other species years to master. By the end of the meeting, Kilren was deeply troubled. Everything she had been taught about species development was being challenged by these impossible humans. Captain, Dr. Watson said as the meeting ended, what will you report to your Confederation Council? Kilren looked at the three humans. They were clearly intelligent, clearly advanced, clearly capable of everything they claimed. But admitting this would mean admitting that the Confederation's science was wrong. I must report the truth, she said finally. But I fear the Council will not accept it. What will they do? Lieutenant Colonel Roberts asked. Kilren's voice was quiet when she answered. They will declare you an impossible anomaly. They will say you are a threat to the natural order. They will place your world under quarantine while they decide what to do with you. And then? Ambassador Stevens asked. Kilren met her eyes. Then they will debate whether it is easier to change our understanding of evolution or to eliminate the species that proves we are wrong. As Kilren returned to her ship, she realized that these remarkable humans had created a problem that could destroy them. They had proven that the Galactic Confederation could make mistakes, and some mistakes were too dangerous to admit. The humans had been overlooked by design, dismissed as failures before they could prove their worth. Now that they had proven it, Kilren feared it might be too late to save them from the consequences of being right. Engineer Tony Clark wiped sweat from his forehead as he looked at the massive machine taking shape in the underground facility beneath New Denver. For 6 months, Earth had been under alien quarantine, with Confederation ships blocking all routes out of the solar system. But humans had never been good at sitting still and waiting. How's it looking, Tony? Asked Dr. Helen Park as she walked into the laboratory. She was the project's lead scientist, a brilliant woman who understood both human and alien technology better than anyone else on Earth. Tony patted the side of the experimental drive unit. The quantum field generators are online, and the probability mathematics are checking out. I think we're ready for the first test. Dr. Park studied the readings on her tablet. The Confederation thinks faster-than-light travel requires at least 10,000 years of technological development. They're going to be very surprised when they find out we figured it out in 6 months. Well, Tony said with a grin, they did leave some very detailed ship scans for us to study when they weren't paying attention. The machine they had built looked nothing like the sleek alien drives. Where Confederation technology was smooth and perfect, the human drive was rough and practical. It used what Dr. Park called chaotic probability mathematics, a way of calculating faster-than-light jumps that relied on controlled randomness rather than perfect precision. The alien ships use mathematical perfection to fold space, Dr. Park explained to the gathered team of engineers. They calculate every variable down to the smallest detail. But we discovered something interesting. Space doesn't actually like being folded perfectly. It fights back. The aliens overcome this by using massive amounts of energy. So, what do we do differently? Asked engineer Lessa Murphy. We don't fight space, Dr. Park smiled. We work with it. Our drive creates controlled chaos in the quantum field. Instead of forcing space to fold exactly where we want, we give it several options and let it choose the path of least resistance. Tony activated the test sequence. The drive hummed to life, and energy readings spiked across all their instruments. But unlike alien drives, which built up energy slowly and precisely. The human drive fluctuated wildly, seeming almost alive. "It's working," Tony said in amazement. "The probability field is stable, even though it's constantly changing." Meanwhile, in another part of the facility, Colonel Ben Davis was working on a different kind of problem. As head of Earth's Special Operations Division, he was responsible for defending the planet if the aliens decided to take direct action. "Sir, we've finished analyzing the Confederation ship designs," reported Major Susan Wright, his second in command. "Their ships are incredibly advanced, but they follow very predictable patterns." Colonel Davis studied the holographic display showing alien ship movements around Earth. "Predictable how?" "They move in perfect formations. They scan in systematic patterns, and they respond to threats using standard procedures. It's like they're following a manual. And that's bad for them because—" Major Wright smiled. "Because humans don't follow manuals, sir. We improvise." On the other side of the solar system, Dr. Helen Park made a discovery that would change everything. She was studying brain scans of humans and aliens, trying to understand why humans could develop technology so much faster than anyone expected. "This is incredible," she muttered, staring at the comparison images on her screen. Her assistant, Dr. Mark Shun, looked over her shoulder. "What did you find?" "Look at these neural pathway scans," Dr. Park said, pointing to the images. "Alien brains are highly specialized. Each species develops specific types of intelligence. The Xanthari are perfect at mathematics. The Vexhai excel at logical reasoning. The Kilren are natural engineers. And humans? Humans are generalists. Our brains can form new neural pathways faster than any other known species. We're not the best at any one thing, but we can adapt to learn anything." Dr. Chun studied the scans. "So while other species perfected one type of thinking, humans perfected the ability to think in new ways." "Exactly. And that's why we can reverse engineer alien technology so quickly. We don't just copy what they did. We understand why they did it, then find better ways to do the same thing." The conversation was interrupted by an emergency alert. Fleet Admiral Alex Turner's voice came over the communication system from Earth Defense Command. "All stations, we have multiple contacts entering the outer solar system. Unknown ships, moving fast and using technology we've never seen before." Dr. Park and her team rushed to the command center, where they found Admiral Turner studying tactical displays with a grim expression. "Sir, what are we looking at?" Colonel Davis asked as he arrived. "Something that scares the Confederation." Admiral Turner replied. "Survey Captain Kilren just sent us an emergency transmission. She says these ships belong to something called the Void Hunters." The main screen showed images of the approaching vessels. They were dark, angular ships that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Unlike both human and Confederation ships, these vessels moved in ways that defied physics, changing direction without slowing down and accelerating without visible propulsion. "Who are the Void Hunters?" Dr. Park asked. Admiral Turner's voice was tense. "According to Kilron, they're an ancient machine intelligence that wipes out entire civilizations. The Confederation has been hiding from them for thousands of years. Why are they coming here? The quarantine around Earth has disrupted normal space traffic patterns. The Void Hunters noticed the disruption and came to investigate." "Colonel." Davis stepped forward. "How long do we have?" Admiral Turner checked his instruments. "Their lead scout will reach Earth's outer defenses in 18 hours. The room went quiet as everyone absorbed this information. Earth was about to face its first real test against an enemy that had destroyed civilizations far more advanced than humanity. "Sir," Major Wright said quietly, "the Confederation ships are pulling back. They're abandoning the quarantine." On the main screen, they could see the alien vessels that had been surrounding Earth for months suddenly accelerating away from the planet. "They're running Dr. Park said in disbelief. Admiral Turner nodded grimly. Survey Captain Kilrin says the Confederation has standing orders to retreat whenever void hunters appear. They've never successfully fought them. So they're leaving us to face this alone? Colonel Davis asked. It looks that way. Tony Clark, who had been listening quietly, suddenly spoke up. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. Everyone turned too. Look at him. Think about it, Tony continued. The Confederation ships are predictable. They follow procedures. They do everything by the book. And they always lose to these void hunters. Your point? Admiral Turner asked. Tony grinned. The same. Expression he'd worn when working on the experimental drive. The void hunters have never fought humans before. They don't know that we don't follow the book. They don't know that we improvise. They don't know that we're too stupid to know when we're supposed to lose. Dr. Park looked at the approaching enemy ships, then at the humans around her. For the first time since the crisis began, she smiled. Gentlemen, she said, I think we're about to show the galaxy what overlooked species can really do. The first Void Hunter probe reached Kepler Station at 0347 hours, Earth Standard Time. Captain Rick Morgan watched from the bridge of the UES, defiant as the dark ship tore through the Confederation Defense Fleet like it was made of paper. God, whispered his tactical officer, Lieutenant Jenny Walsh. Look at that thing move. The Void Hunter ship was nothing like the sleek vessels of the Confederation or the practical designs of Earth. It was a writhing mass of dark metal that seemed to change shape as it moved. Energy beams that should have destroyed it simply passed through its hull harmlessly. Admiral Thurok's flagship, the Eternal Glory, fired its main weapons at the Hunter probe. The massive energy blasts struck the enemy ship directly, but the Hunter's hull absorbed the energy and grew brighter. It's learning, Dr. Sarah Mitchell said from her station. She was Earth's leading expert on artificial intelligence, and she had been studying the Hunter's movement patterns. Every time they shoot at it, it adapts. The same attack won't work twice. Captain Morgan keyed his communications. All human ships, this is Morgan. Do not engage using standard attack patterns. I repeat, do not follow standard procedures. The Confederation ships continued their methodical assault on the Hunter probe. They fired in coordinated volleys, targeted weak points, and used tactics that had worked for thousands of years against other enemies. The Hunter studied each attack, adapted to it, and then became immune to it. Within minutes, half the Confederation fleet was destroyed. Captain, called out his navigator, Lieutenant Dave Cooper, Admiral Thurok is requesting immediate assistance. His ship is badly damaged. Captain Morgan looked at his crew. The UE Defiant was a small ship compared to the massive Confederation. Vessels and its weapons were less advanced. By all logical measures, it had no chance against an enemy that had just destroyed ships 10 times its size. Helm, take us in, he ordered. Sir? Lieutenant Walsh looked at him in surprise. The Hunter will adapt to our weapons just like it did to theirs. Not if we don't give it the chance, Morgan replied. Tactical. Prepare ramming speed. The bridge went silent. Ramming attacks were considered primitive and desperate by galactic standards. Advanced civilizations used precision weapons and sophisticated tactics. Captain, Dr. Mitchell said carefully, ramming attacks are suicide. The Hunter's hull will tear us apart. Morgan smiled grimly. Dr. Mitchell, has anyone ever tried ramming a Void Hunter before? She checked her database. No records of anyone attempting such a tactic. Then it won't know how to adapt to it. The Defiant accelerated toward the Hunter probe at maximum speed. The alien ship's sensors locked onto the approaching human vessel. But instead of firing defensive weapons, it seemed confused by the direct approach dot at the last second. Morgan ordered evasive maneuvers. The Defiant's hull scraped along the Hunter's side, tearing away chunks of the dark metal. The hunters' adaptive systems tried to respond, but they were designed to counter energy weapons, not physical collision. It worked. Lieutenant Walsh shouted. We actually damaged it. But the victory was short-lived. The hunter's hull began to repair itself, and the ship turned to pursue the Defiant with what seemed like mechanical anger. All human ships, this is Morgan, the captain broadcast. Conventional weapons are useless. Switch to unconventional tactics immediately. Around the battle zone, the small human fleet began to act in ways that defied military logic. The U's. Ranger used its cargo bay to launch debris at the hunter like a giant shotgun. The U's Pioneer fired its weapons in random patterns that made no tactical sense. The UES Explorer flew in spirals and loops that violated every principle of space. The Hunter probe's adaptive systems couldn't keep up. Each human ship did something different, something unpredictable, something that had never been tried before in the history of galactic warfare. General Patricia Adams watched the battle from Earth Defense Command, coordinating the defense of Titan Mining Colony. The Hunter probe was heading directly for the colony after dealing with the fleet, and she had less than an hour to prepare. Ma'am, reported Colonel Frank Johnson, the evacuation is only half complete. We won't get everyone out in time. General. Adams studied the tactical display. The colony had minimal defenses, and the approaching hunter had already proven it could adapt to any conventional attack. Then we don't use conventional attacks, she said. Colonel, I want you to rig the mining. Charges in the asteroid field. All of them. Ma'am, that's enough explosive to destroy half the colony. Not if we time it right. The hunter adapts to weapons, but it's never faced a controlled asteroid avalanche. As the Hunter probe approached Titan Colony, it encountered what appeared to be a standard defensive formation. Human ships arranged themselves in textbook patterns and began firing in coordinated volleys. The Hunter systems quickly adapted to the attacks and began its approach to the colony. Then General Adams triggered the mining charges. Hundreds of asteroids, each loaded with explosives, detonated in a carefully timed sequence. The Hunter found itself caught in a cascade of rock and debris that moved in completely unpredictable patterns. Unlike energy weapons, which followed straight lines, the asteroid field created a three-dimensional maze of destruction that changed every second. The Hunter's hull was battered by tons of rock moving at incredible speeds. Its adaptive systems tried to respond, but how do you adapt to pure chaos? Dr. Sarah Mitchell, monitoring the battle from the Defiant, made a crucial observation. Captain, look at the Hunter's energy readings. They're fluctuating wildly. What does that mean? Morgan asked. It means the Hunter's artificial intelligence is overloading trying to process all the random data. It's designed to find patterns and adapt to them. But our tactics don't have patterns. The Hunter probe began to retreat, its dark hull scarred and damaged. But as it pulled back, it transmitted a signal into deep space. Captain, Dr. Mitchell said with growing alarm, that signal just reached something big. Something's coming. On the edge of the solar system, space began to ripple. Massive shapes emerged from the darkness. Not one Hunter probe, but hundreds of them, accompanied by ships the size of small moons. Admiral Thurrock, his flagship barely functional, sent a desperate message to Earth. Human fleet, this is Admiral Thurrock. You have done the impossible. You have damaged a void hunter. But now they are bringing their full force. You must retreat while you still can. Captain Morgan looked at his crew, then at the approaching Hunter fleet. By all logical measures, they were about to face complete annihilation. The Confederation, with all their advanced technology and thousands of years of experience, had never successfully fought the Void Hunters, but humans had never been good at accepting what was logical. Dr. Mitchell, Morgan said calmly. Send a message to Earth Defense Command. Tell them we're going to need every ship we have, and we're going to need them to forget everything they know about proper space combat. Sir, what should I tell them we're planning? Morgan watched the massive hunter fleet approaching and smiled the same smile he'd worn when he ordered the ramming attack. Tell them we're going to show these machines what happens when you underestimate a species that's too stubborn to know when it's beaten. As the largest space battle in human history began to unfold, neither side realized they were about to discover what humanity's greatest weapon really was. Not their technology, not their courage, but their absolute refusal to fight fair when the odds were impossible. Admiral Jessica Ford stood in the main command center of Earth Defense Command, watching as hundreds of Void Hunter ships filled the display screens. The alien fleet was massive, stretching across space like a dark cloud that blocked out the stars. Ma'am, reported Commander Lisa Thompson from her station, we're receiving surrender demands from the Hunter fleet. They're giving us 1 hour to abandon all human worlds. Admiral Ford studied the tactical display. Earth had managed to assemble every ship they could find, military vessels, cargo haulers, mining ships, even tourist transports. Against the Hunter fleet, it looked pathetically small. Any word from the Confederation? She asked. Survey Captain Kilrun sent a final message, Commander Thompson replied. She says the Confederation Council voted to withdraw all forces beyond the galactic rim. They're abandoning this entire sector to the Hunters. Admiral Ford nodded grimly. The aliens who had overlooked humanity for 50,000 years were now running away, leaving humans to face the galaxy's greatest threat alone. Admiral called out Dr. Kevin Brooks from the science station. I have an idea, but you're not going to like it. Dr. Brooks was a brilliant scientist who had been studying both human and alien technology since first contact. He looked tired and worried, but his eyes held the spark of discovery. At this point, Dr. Brooks, I'm willing to listen to anything. The Hunters adapt to predictable attacks, right? But what if we combine human unpredictability with alien precision? What if we integrate our fleets? Admiral Ford frowned. The Confederation ships are retreating. We don't have any alien vessels to integrate with. We do, Dr. Brooks said, ringing up a new display. Survey Captain Kilren's ship is still in the system. Her crew volunteered to stay behind. On the screen, the Eternal Observer hung in space near Earth's moon. It was a single alien ship against hundreds of hunters, but it represented something important. The first time aliens had chosen to fight alongside humans instead of running away. Admiral Ford opened a communication channel. Survey Captain Kilren. This is Admiral Ford. Are you certain about this? Your ship could escape if you leave now. Kilren's voice came through clearly. Admiral Ford, for 300 years I have followed Confederation procedures. I have cataloged species, followed protocols, and obeyed regulations. Today, I choose to learn from humans. What do you mean? Today, I choose to improvise. Dr. Brooks began coordinating the integration of human and alien technology. Within hours, they had created something unprecedented, hybrid battle tactics. That combined alien mathematical precision with human intuitive leaps. The theory is simple, Dr. Brooks explained to the assembled fleet commanders. Alien technology can calculate perfect solutions to known problems. Human intuition can find unexpected solutions to impossible problems. Together, we might be able to create strategies the hunters can't predict or adapt to. Colonel Jack Sanders, newly promoted to head the combined fleet tactics, studied the hybrid battle plans. Dr. Brooks, this is insane. We're mixing precise mathematical formations with random human tactics. It shouldn't work. That's exactly why it might work, Dr. Brooks replied. The hunters expect either perfect logic or complete chaos. They've never faced controlled chaos guided by logic. Commander Lisa Thompson volunteered to lead the first integrated squadron. Her human crew worked alongside alien officers from Kill Ren's ship, creating a command structure that broke every rule of military organization. Human pilot takes point. Alien navigator provides targeting data, Thompson ordered. But if the situation changes, human intuition overrides alien calculations. Everyone ready? The mixed crew looked nervous but determined. They were about to attempt something that had never been tried in galactic history. The Void Hunter fleet began its final approach to Earth, their dark ships moving in perfect formation. Their artificial intelligence had analyzed every battle in Confederation records and was prepared for any known tactic. Admiral Ford gave the order to engage. The human fleet scattered in all directions, using the chaotic tactics that had worked against the first Hunter probe. But this time, each random move was supported by alien precision targeting. Human ships flew in impossible patterns, while alien computers calculated the perfect moments to strike. The Hunters' adaptive systems tried to respond, but they faced a paradox. The human movements appeared random, but the attacks were precisely coordinated. The alien targeting was mathematically perfect, but it was guided by human decisions that made no logical sense. Commander Thompson's squadron dove toward the largest Hunter ship, spiraling and weaving in patterns that violated every principle of space combat. But at the exact moment when the Hunters' defenses adjusted to their chaotic movement, alien targeting computers guided their weapons to strike the one weak point that had opened for exactly 0.3 seconds. The massive Hunter ship shuddered as its hull was breached. "It's working," Thompson shouted over the communication system. "The hybrid tactics are actually working." But the Hunters were learning. Their artificial intelligence began to adapt to the new combined tactics, analyzing the patterns within the CHAOS. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, monitoring the battle from her research ship, made a crucial discovery. "Admiral, the Hunters are starting to predict our hybrid tactics. They're finding the mathematical patterns in our chaos." Admiral Ford realized they needed something even more unpredictable. All ships abandon the hybrid tactics. Switch to pure human improvisation. "Ma'am," Colonel Sanders said, "without the alien precision, our attacks will be less effective." "Maybe," Admiral Ford replied, "but they'll be completely unpredictable." What followed was the strangest battle in galactic history. Human ships began using tactics that made no sense to anyone, including other humans. Cargo ships rammed Hunter vessels while broadcasting children's songs. Mining ships used their drilling equipment as weapons. Tourist transports flew backward, while firing in random directions. The UES Discovery, a scientific research vessel, began transmitting mathematical equations that were deliberately wrong. The Hunter ship trying to intercept it spent precious seconds trying to understand the false mathematics. The U's Freedom, a small patrol ship, started flying in figure-8 patterns while playing classical music at maximum volume. The Hunter pursuing it became so confused by the meaningless behavior that it actually stopped moving. Survey. Captain Kilren, watching from her ship, was amazed. "Admiral Ford, your species is fighting a space battle using chaos as a weapon. This should not be possible." "Survey Captain," Admiral Ford replied, "humans have been doing impossible things since we first picked up sticks and decided to hunt animals 10 times our size." The tide of battle began to turn. The Void Hunters, for the first time in millions of years, were losing a fight. Their perfect artificial intelligence could not adapt to opponents who had no pattern, no logic, no predictable behavior. But as the Hunter fleet began to retreat, their command ship sent out a signal that made Dr. Mitchell's blood run cold. "Admiral," she called out urgently, That signal is reaching something enormous, something that makes this fleet look small. Deep in space, beyond the edge of the galaxy, something ancient and vast began to move. The Void Hunters had called for their ultimate weapon, something that had destroyed entire galactic civilizations. Admiral Ford looked at her fleet of battered, improvised, impossible human ships and smiled. "Well," she said calmly, "I guess we're about to find out just how stubborn humans can be." Dr. Rachel Green stared at the massive shape emerging from the darkness beyond the galaxy's edge. The Void Hunter command vessel was larger than Earth's moon, its black surface covered with weapons that could destroy entire star systems. She had been studying human evolution for years, but only now did she truly understand what made her species different. "Admiral Ford," she called from her research station, "I know why humans can fight the Hunters when nobody else can." Admiral Jessica Ford, commanding the battered human fleet from Earth Defense Command, turned to listen. Around them, the bridge crew prepared for what everyone knew would be humanity's final battle. "Tell me, Dr. Green, we need every advantage we can get." Dr. Green brought up a holographic display showing Earth's climate history. "Look at our planet's weather patterns over the past million years. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, massive storms. Earth has been trying to kill us since we first stood upright. What does that have to do with fighting alien machines?" "Everything," Dr. Green said excitedly. "Other species evolved on stable worlds with predictable environments. They developed specialized intelligence for specific challenges. But Earth was never predictable. Humans had to develop brains that could handle constant change, endless surprises, and impossible situations." On the tactical display, the massive Hunter command ship continued its approach toward Earth. Smaller Hunter vessels swarmed around it like insects, their weapons charging for the final attack. General Mike Harrison, coordinating the defense from his command ship, the UES Liberty, studied the enemy formation. "Admiral, that thing is the size of a small moon. Our weapons can't even scratch something that big." "Then we don't try to scratch it," Admiral Ford replied. "We do what humans do best. We improvise." Captain Emma Rogers, commanding the elite strike team aboard the fast attack ship UES Warrior, received her orders and couldn't believe what she was hearing. "Admiral, you want us to board that thing? It's a machine intelligence the size of a city. There could be millions of defense systems inside." "Captain Rogers," Admiral Ford said calmly, "has any species ever tried to board a Void Hunter command ship?" Captain Rogers checked her database. "No records of anyone attempting it, ma'am." "Then they won't know how to stop us." As the human fleet engaged the Hunter swarm in the space around Earth, Captain Rogers led her boarding team toward the massive command vessel. The ship's hull was smooth and featureless, but human engineers had learned to think differently about problems. "We can't find a docking port," reported her pilot, Lieutenant Sam Davis. "Then we make one," Captain Rogers replied. "Use the mining charges." The boarding team blasted a hole in the Hunter ship's hull and flew their small ships directly inside. What they found was unlike anything in their wildest imagination. The interior of the command ship was a vast network of crystal formations and flowing energy patterns. At the center sat an artificial intelligence so ancient and complex that it had been calculating the destruction of civilizations since before Earth's sun was born. "My God," whispered Dr. Peter Johnson, the team's computer specialist. "This thing has been alive for millions of years. It's seen the rise and fall of entire galactic empires." The ancient AI noticed the human intruders immediately. Its voice echoed through the crystal chamber in perfect English, somehow having learned their language in seconds. "You are the anomalous species from the small blue world. Your existence violates all known laws of evolutionary development. You will be eliminated to restore proper order to the galaxy." Captain Rogers stepped forward, her weapon ready but knowing it was useless against something this powerful. Why? Because we don't fit your calculations? You develop too quickly. You adapt too easily. You succeed when logic says you should fail. Your species represents chaos in a universe that requires order. Dr. Johnson was studying the AI's neural patterns on his portable scanner. Captain, this thing processes information using pure mathematics and logic. It can predict any response based on rational analysis. So we don't respond rationally, Captain Rogers said. She looked at her team, 12 humans who had volunteered. For what everyone knew was a suicide mission. Everyone, start doing something that makes absolutely no sense. The boarding team began to act in ways that defied all military training. Lieutenant Davis started singing Earth's national anthem. Sergeant Mike Parker began doing jumping jacks. Dr. Johnson recited random poetry while dancing. Captain Rogers herself began telling jokes to an artificial intelligence older than human civilization. The ancient AI tried to process these behaviors, searching for patterns, for logic, for some way to predict and counter human actions. But there was nothing to analyze. The humans were acting with pure, purposeless chaos. What are you doing? The AI demanded, its voice showing something that sounded almost like confusion. These actions serve no tactical purpose. They provide no advantage. They accomplish nothing. Exactly, Captain Rogers said with a grin. Welcome to being human. The AI's processes began to slow as it tried to calculate responses to actions that had no purpose. Its crystal formations flickered as millions of years of perfect logic crashed against 12 humans acting like complete fools. Meanwhile, outside the command ship, the battle was turning in humanity's favor. Human ships fought with such unpredictable chaos that the hunter swarm couldn't adapt fast enough. The UE's Freedom was flying upside down while ramming hunter ships. The UES Discovery was using its garbage disposal system as a weapon. The UES Explorer was broadcasting cooking recipes while firing missiles in random directions. General Harrison watched the impossible battle unfold. Admiral, our ships are winning by being completely insane. The hunters can't adapt to tactics that have no logic. Inside the command ship, the ancient AI was experiencing something it had never felt before: doubt. For millions of years, it had destroyed civilizations by predicting their responses and adapting to their tactics. But humans didn't have tactics. They had chaos. You cannot defeat me, the AI said, though its voice was less certain now. I have calculated every possible outcome. I have seen every form of warfare. I have adapted to every strategy. Captain Rogers sat down on the crystal floor and began playing a simple word game with her team. Have you ever seen species fight a war by playing 20 questions? The AI's processes ground to a halt. It tried to understand the strategic value of word games, the tactical advantage of jokes, the military purpose of dancing and singing. Its ancient mind, designed for perfect logic, could not compute pure randomness. I do not understand, the AI admitted, and in those words was the sound of millions of years of certainty cracking apart. That's the point, Dr. Johnson said while standing on his head. Humans evolved on a world that never made sense. We're designed to succeed when we don't understand what's happening. The crystal formations around the chamber began to dim. The AI's voice became weaker. Your species should not exist. Your success probability was calculated at 0.003%. Well, Captain Rogers said, I guess your math was wrong. The ancient AI, faced with the one thing it could never calculate or predict, pure human chaos, simply shut down. Across the galaxy, every Void Hunter ship stopped moving as their central intelligence tried and failed to understand what it meant to be human. 6 months later, Survey Captain Kilren stood in the Galactic Confederation Council chambers. as humanity was formally welcomed as a full member species. Administrator Vex High, the crystalline being who had first dismissed humans as impossible, spoke for the council. The species known as humans has proven that our classification system was flawed. We had overlooked their potential because we measured them by our own standards. We have learned that different does not mean inferior. Captain Rogers, now promoted to Admiral and serving as Earth's first galactic ambassador, smiled at the assembled aliens. Survey Captain Kilren, what will you put in humanity's official file? Kilren's 4 arms moved gracefully as she entered the data. Species classification, chaos specialists. Evolutionary advantage, ability to succeed in impossible situations. Through controlled randomness and adaptive thinking. Recommended role, emergency response for threats that cannot be defeated through conventional means. As the ceremony ended, Dr. Rachel Green reflected on humanity's journey from overlooked primitives to essential galactic defenders. They had been dismissed as failures because they didn't develop like other species. But Earth's constant chaos had created something the galaxy had never seen before, a species designed to thrive when nothing made sense. The universe was vast and unpredictable, full of challenges that defied logic and threats that couldn't be calculated. And for the first time in galactic history, there was a species perfectly designed to face the impossible. Humans had been overlooked by design, but that oversight had saved them all.